Another season is upon us. Freshmen arrive wide-eyed with dreams of future glory, while seniors prepare for their last chance at immortality. There are only a handful of these opportunities in a man's life, a handful of chances to distinguish yourself from the rest. It's on these fields where history is made, where legends begin and heroes triumph. Traditions tell the story of what you represent, of those that forge the legacy you uphold. When you come charging out of the tunnel, 100,000 people will be watching your every move. How you respond to that pressure is what defines you. These are the moments that reveal your toughness, your determination, and your pride. The Roughnecks on the Sooner Schooner. Ralphie charging out of the gate. And Chief Osceola planting his spear. The time has come. Your time is now.
Listen, I know that we're down horrendous right now, being in arguably one of the biggest dead periods in our entire sports calendar. But boys, we almost made it. We almost made it to the part of the year where we can see the continuation of 138 stories in college football. We are less than 65 days out. So I'm just getting excited for it, every single day that it draws closer. I have some exciting things on the precipice happening. Reed's got some exciting things happening on his precipice as well. And most importantly, we got ACC quarterback rankings. We're going to go ahead and wrap things up in terms of ranking every power conference quarterback entering the 2026 season. But before we worry about any of those items on the docket, Reed, my right-hand man, how are we doing tonight, dude?
I'm good, Jake. It's good to talk to you again, my man.
Yeah, it is good to talk to you as well. You know, I was left on my lonesome, wandering in the wilderness, but you know what? We're officially back. We are officially back, and you got some exciting things that happened since the last time you came on air here for the Red Zone people. So I know you mentioned it on the Twitter, but you want to go ahead and tell the people what's been happening on your end?
Yeah, shout out. Is it on here? Yeah, No Rivals. Brand new partnership for the program. Hopefully something in the works for the Red Zone tour, but no spoilers yet. Maybe, possibly. So yeah, pleasure. Code Love for the Game, 10% off. Yeah, if you want to get a hat over 100 plus schools. So they just got Oregon today too. So the Oregon ones look sick. So yeah, appreciate that.
Yeah, so you know, we always gotta show some love. You know, we love to see the grassroots movements finally get into the the partnership game. You know, yes. maybe I won't be too far behind. You know, I've I originally started this out, you know, just so I could be something other than a dad for a split second. So, you know, there's some things in the work, you know, it may be talked about on a later show, but one thing that I am excited about on my end as well, just to take care of some housekeeping on my end, we finished recording the First Look series. The last video, I kid you not, was recorded last night. We cover all 138 teams and that number one ranked team in my post-spring rankings. That video is finally coming out Friday night at 6 p.m. Eastern. So I didn't know if I was going to do it. You know, we might have had the power through for a little bit, but I'm really happy that I got that done. And I'm so excited that you guys are going to be able to enjoy that here in the future.
Jake, I want to preface that because I give you massive credit. I don't think I could sit down and make a 10 to 15 minute video on all 138 teams. You know, that's some mental fortitude, if anything. So I applaud you for that. That's some real work. And you know, the alarm is set. You said Friday at 6. All right, I'm setting it. I need to know who the number one team is.
Yeah, I'm sure depending on like who looked at my a certain tier maker the other day, I'm sure there may not be like a ton of surprises. No, but I mean, like there's a lot of really good football teams out there, like especially like top 5. Like it really was getting like when it comes to questions, like it was really nitpicky if anything. But hey, enough of that. We have a great show here tonight. Talking some ACC quarterbacks. Reed, there's some dogs. There's some people that are going to be starting this season that are would probably like tear us up in EA college football, but compared to the rest of the ACC, not as much of a dog. So, dude, you excited to talk some ACC football here tonight?
I also want to preface, as you've said before, Jake, there might be some bona fide scrubs here.
Well, I mean, we'll see how many bona fide scrubs we feel is on this list here tonight. But hey, with that being said, hope you guys are excited. If you are, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well. If you're on Twitter and you've ran across our Twitter accounts for the first time, give us a follow as well. We're on the verge. I'm on the verge of hitting 2,000 followers on Twitter, as well as 400 subscribers on YouTube. So, let's see what we can do to get closer to those minor like benchmarks, man. So with that said, all that housekeeping finally out of the way, let's go ahead and pull up everyone's favorite app here on the show. And that is indeed gonna be that Adobe Photoshop, baby. We are officially back. Got the bad boy back out. And listen, man, you're always a beloved guest. So like here on this show, a beloved partner of this show. So listen, like I feel that it's only appropriate. I gotta let you like set the table and start the floor in terms of number 17. Who, in your mind, in terms of these starting quarterbacks in the ACC, who's the worst starting quarterback in this conference?
I always hate having to make these rankings because you got to put someone last. It's like playing kickball growing up. You had to get picked last. Someone had to do it, and unfortunately, in alignment with the projected worst team in the ACC, in my opinion, I'm going with Boston College. They haven't even named a true starter yet. There still is a 3-way quarterback battle between I can't even tell you all the names. Mason McKenzie, Bryce LaFollette. There's 4 quarterbacks that could be in contention for this quarterback position at Boston College. I expect Bill O'Brien to, pick the one he's the most comfortable with. But Bordeaux, Femi Babaloa, Grayson Wilson, the list goes on and on. A lot of younger quarterbacks behind Mason McKenzie. He's the only, upperclassman. He's a junior. So, a lot of question marks about this Boston College quarterback room. That's a good way to put it. TBD. Whoa. So, Boston College, without a doubt. Just even holistically, they have the most questions of any team in the ACC for me. So they're going to back up the bottom of my ranking.
Yeah, and I actually am a little bit higher on the Boston College quarterback room. I know that they haven't named a starter realistically, but I do think that whoever's going to get that starting quarterback job, I'm projecting it out to be Mason McKenzie, the Division II transfer out of Saginaw Valley. Bill O'Brien is going to want to hope that he is the next Trinidad Chambliss because the rest of his team is not a great team. He put up some great numbers at the Division II level, but that's the thing. Like we're talking about making the jump from Division II all the way up to consensusly a top 4 conference in all of college football, regardless of division level, right? So it's going to be a massive jump. So I do think that he is better than a couple of other quarterbacks here in the ACC right now, but I can't be too high on it because of the fact that he is coming from a Division II school, and for intended purposes, I just can't be that high. So we're rolling with Mason McKenzie. If it ages badly, then it is what it is. But I'm a little bit of a Mason McKenzie believer, just a little bit, just a little bit. We're rocking with him at 15 though.
I can understand that. Again, he's the most senior player of any of the quarterbacks in that room for Boston College. So I completely understand that. I also think he's pegged to be the starter, but if there's a wild card that comes out of nowhere, TBD wall. So
like I said, like based on the Ourlads like depth charts out there, like
Yeah.
great source for depth charts. Like he is listed as a starter, so we're rolling off of that. And so if he's not the starter, it's Ourlad's fault. It is not my fault. So,
Yep.
with that being said, though, I do have a different quarterback in mind who is going to cap things off at number 17 for me personally. So I actually went over to the West Coast, because in the Atlantic Coast Conference, we have both the Atlantic Coast and the Pacific Coast that the ACC gets to enjoy. Should change themselves to the BCC, both Coast Conference, right? But that's
All Coast Conference.
our all Coast Conference, could do that too. But I went with Davis Warren out of Stanford. He's projected starter for the Stanford Cardinal. Let me start out by saying this: I really go ahead and I want to give him some props because this is a guy that has a really tough mentality. He's a really tough kid. This is a kid that worked his way as a walk-on and found his way on the field at Michigan. And many walk-ons don't get the chance to play at all, let alone find themselves in a starting opportunity, as well as someone that's able to fight cancer and beat cancer as well. That is huge, and I want to applaud him for that. Like Davis Warren, just those two things alone, like he's going to be a winner at life. But I'm also going to say this as well, okay? Davis Warren probably would tear us up apart if we played him in EA college football. But when it comes to the rest of the FBS, I'm sorry. He's a certified scrub. I mean,
there it is. I was waiting.
We saw him play at Michigan, and there was a reason why there felt that there was a huge need for Bryce Underwood to flip his commitment to LSU a couple of years ago. And so with that being said, again, like I really am, I'm rooting for Davis Warren, the person, but I'm also not really expecting much to happen here. It's a rebuild year, and that's okay. Just he's going to be a bridge quarterback until Tavita Pritchard finds his guy. But I don't think Davis Warren is going to be that guy long term, to be honest with you.
Ditto to all the points you just made. Davis Warren, I'm a little bit higher on him. If you want to put him at 16 for me personally. Again, to all the points you just said, the person he is and everything he had to go through off the field is an amazing story, and I applaud him for that. Tenfold. Amazing story. And glad he's still healthy. But to your point, from what we saw on the field at Michigan for him, it was horrendous. It was a fire. I mean, it was bad. It was really bad. It was really bad. So, and also, shout out to Colton in chat. Davis Warren, certified ass. So, yeah, don't have much to add. But to his credit, he has a former quarterback coach as his head coach in Tavita Pritchard. So, secret maybe quarterback whisperer at Stanford. Time will obviously tell. But yeah, Davis Warren, not much to go off of.
Yeah, for sure. Which I still have to fill out my number 16 spot because I have that spot open because I have the audacity to believe at least a little bit in Mason McKenzie, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and get into I guess what is my number 16 quarterback. So that's gonna be the Duke quarterback in Walker Eget. And I will say this: Duke got screwed. Okay, with the whole Darian Mensah situation. With him leaving to go play at Miami at the 11th hour after he said he was going to stay. Walker Eget was not originally going to be the starter. He was going to be the backup quarterback, be that veteran backup for Darian Mensah. And as a backup, I would have absolutely loved Walker Eget because he does bring 2 years of starting experience. He was solid at San Jose State. I mean, he wasn't really the type of quarterback that really elevated his team, and he benefited from some really underrated receivers at San Jose State as well. And he just is turnover prone. He's thrown 19 interceptions the last 2 years as well. So, he did a little bit of a better job cleaning it up, but it's still something that he has to work on. The fact that he threw nearly double-digit interceptions 2 years in a row in a lesser conference is a bit of a concern, seeing that he's going to be likely your QB1 going into this year.
Yeah, again, don't have much to add with Walker Eget. I personally have him at 14. I think the thing holding him back right now is one, the interceptions that you point out has to be more consistent. And to go along with that consistency, he just has to be more efficient. I mean, last season he had below a 60% completion percentage on nearly 400 attempts. So, and to your point, playing at a lower level at San Jose State, had some very underrated receivers, i.e. Danny Scudero is now at Colorado, was one of the top receivers in the country last year, at least, receiving yards wise. So Walker Egat, this is definitely a step up in competition level. Does it translate? I really don't think it will. I really think the Duke offense is going to be surrounded by Nate Shepard, standout running back for them. So I think he's going to be the main bell cow. I think Walker Egat, as long as he can be serviceable, I think he'll be okay, but nothing to really catapult him near the middle or upper half of this ranking. So I'm going to put him at 14 personally.
No, and that's a very good point as well, is that Walker Egat, like, he doesn't need to be the reason why this Duke football teams win. There are some decent pieces around it. And Manon Diaz is an underrated coach, too. I mean, we're talking about a guy that led the Duke Blue Devils to an ACC title last year. And I know that it was wonky how they got there, but they still had to win the ACC title game. So, like, he doesn't have to be the reason they win football games. It's just really that backup quarterback mentality. Just don't be the reason why the team loses at the end of the day, right? That's really all that we're asking here. Nothing crazy. Yep.
Just have more touchdowns and interceptions. Have at least a 60% completion percentage. Don't turn the ball over. Pretty straightforward.
Yeah, very straightforward. Probably a little bit easier said than done, but that's it's easier to say that when we're talking behind the microphone. But yep. Listen, like you're a little bit higher on Walker Egat than I am, but I'm curious to see who you ended up having as your number 15 quarterback, though, in terms of these quarterback rankings.
So personally, and I've talked about him on the show before when we've talked about this program, I'm going to go with North Carolina's projected starting quarterback, Billy Edwards. And, I feel really bad for North Carolina, man. If they had Taron Dickens signed, sealed, delivered, he was going to be there in the fall, stud out of the what level was that?
The FCS.
FCS, yeah, Western Carolina.
Coming from the SoCon.
Yes, 3,500 yards, 38 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. He was going to be a stud for North Carolina. He's no longer there. So they also brought in Billy Edwards from Wisconsin. And, Jake, I have to steal your thunder. This is a bona fide scrub. Bona fide scrub. This is a what are we doing? This is bad. And I mean, Billy Edwards is now in his third school. He got hurt. He transferred. He was at Maryland. Didn't look great. Transferred to Wisconsin. Ended up getting hurt the first game of the season. Was out the rest of the year, essentially. And Billy Edwards has not looked great at all. Now, okay, he transfers to North Carolina. He's got Bobby Petrino as his offensive coordinator. Does that turn it around? I really don't think so. Bill Belichick, he's coach of the greatest quarterback of all time. I don't really think Tom Brady can compare to Billy Edwards at all. So, yeah, I really don't think Billy Edwards is going to elevate this North Carolina team at all. Now, if it was Taron Dickens, he probably would have been closer to like the 6, 7, 8 range personally. But
yeah, and that was a really good point as well, because I saw that in the chat, asking about like that honorable mention for like Taron Dickens. And listen, like we're right here with you. We were upset too. Tarleton State got an incredible quarterback. Like they're going to be a huge threat to win the national championship at the FCS level. And secondarily, Bowling Green got screwed as well, because Bowling Green is playing that Tarleton State football team. Like that was already upset alert. And now it's full. The alarm bells are full-fledged ringing.
Yeah.
So to your point, like if Taron Dickens was a starter, I'm talking about him as a top 10 quarterback in this conference. I think he's really good. Would have to prove himself a little bit because, again, FCS to the Power 4, that's a big jump. But I mean, I would have him in my top 10 for sure. But it's not. You got Billy Edwards instead. I have him at number 14, and really. kind of a similar issue that Walker Eget had, just in terms of having struggles in terms of turning the ball over. The one year that he was actually healthy, 15 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. But giving him a little bit more benefit of the doubt, because at least like he had a positive turnover touchdown to interception ratio when he was in the power conference ranks, right? So like I can give him a little bit more benefit of the doubt, because at least, yes, it's the same problem, but he, we're not saying that like he's not transitioning up to the G6, or he's not transitioning up to the Division II level, or he's not a walk-on quarterback either. But yeah, I just couldn't be much higher. And can he stay healthy too? Like that's another big question as well.
Yeah, and another thing just specifically about North Carolina, they have some solid weapons. Like Jordan Shipp, I would probably put as a top 10 receiver in this conference personally. So, I mean, they got some weapons. I've gotten reports from, North Carolina fans specifically that, they're really high on their team, but that was with Taron Dickens, and now obviously no longer a part of the program. So, my view of North Carolina plummeted as soon as I saw that news, for sure.
Yeah, and I thought like it was, they're going to have a rough year regardless. But I thought at least Taron Dickens was going to be the saving grace. But yeah, anyhow, like that does take us to number 13 though. I'm curious to hear what you think about this quarterback. I put Ashton Daniels here at number 13, like for Florida State. It's kind of a similar situation than Billy Edwards, just in that we haven't really seen him play a ton at the end of the day, right? So the reason why I'm a little bit higher on him than a Billy Edwards is, at least like a little bit more highly touted out of high school than Billy Edwards was. I believe Ashton Daniels was a 4-star recruit, whereas Billy Edwards came in as a free. I'm not 100% sure there, but we haven't, like, we've seen him like bits and pieces of him, but we haven't really seen him play, I guess, extensively at the end of the day, at least not as much as some of these other quarterbacks on the list. So I'm curious to see how it works out. I think he does have some talent, just kind of like a prove it spot here for me.
Yeah, totally agree. I personally have him at 12, so not much higher than you. Definitely a prove it spot. And I think in a full reset, I mean, he's played at multiple schools now. He looked okay at times at Auburn, like specifically his athletic ability on the ground. He stood out at Auburn when he did get his playing time there. So I think he has that specific element that could potentially elevate this Florida State offense, but I have questions about his arm specifically. But I mean, you're throwing to a top 10 receiver at a minimum in Deuce Robinson, so that's going to help you out. But nothing really is making me say right now Ashton Daniels is, an upper tier quarterback in this conference. But definitely I agree with you. This is a prove it spot. I think his athletic ability, he could prove a lot of people wrong if the fit works out with Tim Harris as the new offensive coordinator for Florida State. So Ashton Daniels for me personally coming in number 12.
Yeah, it's definitely a prove it spot here, and it's really a prove it spot for this entire Florida State roster too. Because I mean, like Mike Norvell, 2 years after, actually, scratch that, like 3 years after winning the ACC title, and was not only ACC Coach of the Year but National Coach of the Year as well. It honestly should have made that college football playoff, in my opinion. I didn't think it would get to this point where they win 7 games the last 2 years. So this entire team is kind of in a prove it spot, and that goes for the coaching staff as well. But listen, like, you were a little bit higher on Ashton Daniels than I was though. So listen, I had him at 13, but you had somebody else in mind for that 13 spot. So really, the people are curious, man. Like, who's that 13 spot for you?
Yeah, so we're going to go with a former North Carolina quarterback transferring within conference to Wake Forest, and that's going to be Gio Lopez of the Wake Forest Demon Deacons. Was serviceable. I'll say that. He was serviceable for North Carolina. I think he got a lot more pushback than probably, like, if you just watch him. I mean, he was serviceable. It was North Carolina. It was a dumpster fire everywhere. But transferring to Wake Forest, I think, coming to a team that way exceeded expectations last year in Jake Dickert's first year, a 9-win season. for the Demon Deacons, I think this is just a good situation holistically. You just needed to get out of North Carolina. But I think, again, similar to what we talked about with Walker Egan, he doesn't have to be anything too flashy. It just has to be serviceable. Threw for nearly 1,800 yards last year, 10 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. So he at least doubled his touchdowns to interception ratio. 65% completion percentage. So again, it just has to be serviceable. And, gets props as a lefty. Love lefty quarterbacks. So Gio Lopez for me coming number 13.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm right there with you, like about on the same wavelength as you, because I wasn't very dramatically different. I mean, basically what I just did is I just flipped to like Ashton Daniels with Gio Lopez, because he came in as my number 12 quarterback. Yeah, he was a little bit disappointing. He had a really good freshman year at South Alabama, and then he goes to North Carolina to be Bill Belichick's first starting quarterback. And maybe some of it was maybe the lights were a little bit too bright for him at times, like at the power conference level. But I am also going to give him some benefit of the doubt in that the infrastructure that he was in was not what it needed to be, and was frankly a lot worse than maybe what we expected, given that you had a head coach that won 6 Super Bowls and frankly should have been a first ballot Hall of Famer, like in the NFL Hall of Fame. So, I understand that the college game is different from the NFL. Like, it's basically 2 different sports, but you expected that infrastructure to be better just because it is Bill Belichick that we're talking about. Like, I would never thought that North Carolina, even if they were going to be disappointing, but they would look like a dumpster fire like on the field, and they looked like a dumpster fire on the field, to be honest with you. So I'm giving him a little bit of the benefit of the doubt, but if he's disappointing yet again, and if he's still somehow in this conference, I could see him falling even further, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and just another point on Gio Lopez real quick. He is reuniting with his offensive coordinator from South Alabama, Rob Ezell, who is now the offensive coordinator at Wake Forest. So, had a lot of success at South Alabama, like you said, reuniting with his coordinator he had there. So maybe that's just what he needed. Maybe he's a good fit in that system. He can bounce back to what we saw at his USA days. So I think Gio Lopez definitely could jump a few spots by the end of the season on this list for sure.
Yeah, and he has a pretty good head coach, and like Jake Dicker, who I thought did a really good job in year number 1, leading them to, believe if I'm not mistaken, they had a 10-win season last year if you account for the bowl game too. So that was a really good year for Jake Dicker and company, man. So I have some more benefited out, just because he has a better coaching staff that at least understands college football a little bit better instead of treating college football as a retirement home. But I digress. Moving on though to number 11, I put the Virginia quarterback here, and I'm projecting Bo Pribula to be the starter for Virginia. I know there's a little bit of a battle here between Bo and Eli Holstein. I think he's a good athlete. I think he's a good athlete for sure. We saw that in SEC play, but 2 things that I'm concerned about is, can he stay healthy? He did have some injury concerns last year in his first year as the the quote unquote full-time starter. And then another thing that I'm concerned about as well is I just don't know if he's an excellent passer. We're talking about a guy that had 11 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. So, maybe some of that is SEC. It's there is no conference that plays better defense holistically than the SEC. But, it's that's a little bit concerning, throwing almost as many interceptions as touchdowns. Again, I'm giving him some benefit of the doubt here, because I do think that he is a good athlete, but I do think he, kind of like some of these other quarterbacks that we talked about so far, definitely needs to clean it up. But I do think Bo Pribula is going to be the starter. I don't think Eli Holstein is. I'm not expecting him to be QB1 by any means.
How many wins did Virginia have last year, Jake?
They were in the double digits. I do remember ranking them in my final top 25.
You're correct. They ended up finishing with 11 wins. Do you know who Virginia beat in their bowl game?
They beat I believe it was Missouri, actually. Unironically, which now that I think about, now that I see what you're doing here, unironically, imagine you're losing to the team that you play in the bowl game is I'm gonna play with those guys. That's kind of crazy now that I think about it.
Yeah. Now, take that bowl game with a grain of salt. It was a crapshoot, 13-7. But anyway, my point is that Bo Pribula, to your point, played in the SEC, but I think this is a good fit for Virginia because you look at this Virginia team last year, they had Chandler Morris, and yeah, Bo Pribula might not be as good of a passer as Chandler Morris, but when you look at Chandler Morris's stats, they're pretty comparable. Like, wasn't a too high completion percentage. Chandler Morris had 3,000 yards passing. I mean, all things considered, he had 16 touchdowns to 9 interceptions. Bo had 11 touchdowns to 9 interceptions. So I think it's pretty comparable to Chandler Morris. I'll give Chandler Morris the nod as a passer, but I think Bo Pribula is similar, if not a better athlete from what we've seen of him so far in college football between Penn State and Missouri. I also am projecting him as the starter right now, but I'm a bit higher on him. I'm going to go with Bo Pribula at number 8. And it's totally not because he used to play for Penn State. That's totally not going into my thought process at all. But I think it's a good situation for him. We saw the success that Chandler Morris had in this system last year for Des Kitchens as the offensive coordinator, Tony Elliott head coach. So I just think it's a good situation. I think Bo Pribula, gets back to his Penn State days that made him such a hot commodity to go to Missouri in the first place. So, yeah, I'm a little higher on Bo Pribula, so I'm going to put him right in the middle of the pack here at number 8.
Yeah, so it's and listen, like Colin also hitting on the head here as well. Can't question the the football IQ. But yeah, I mean I think that he is capable of being a top half quarterback as well. It's just kind of a little bit more of a prove it spot for me here. I'm just he definitely needs to clean up the mistakes, because we did see some mistakes as a full-time passer. And it cost Missouri a couple of games in spite of having, the best running back in all of college football last year in Ahmad Hardy. Not going to necessarily have that. So maybe not have that same kind of talent, although you're not playing the same kind of competition either. So maybe it balances out, but we'll have to wait and see though.
Definitely. And similar to your point about Billy Edwards, injury history. So obviously if he can stay healthy, but I mean, Eli Holston, I think, is a very capable backup quarterback in his own right. So,
yeah.
And also to Colton's point, that's why Dylan Raiola also got out of Nebraska, because he is seeing that is a sinking ship as well. So, call a spade a spade,
you're going to make that man call in mid-show, that.
I dare him. I dare him.
Listen, it's very clear that you're definitely a lot higher on Bo Pribula than I am. Having our first top 10 spot filled between either of us, but we have one more slot to fill before we get into our consensus top 10 here. So I'm just curious to see who that 11th guy ends up being for you, if it's not a Bo.
So this is probably the quarterback of this bottom half that I'm the most excited to watch out of any of them, and I'm going to go Alberto Mendoza of Georgia Tech here. I think Alberto Mendoza, we haven't seen too much of him, but I mean, in what we have seen, 75% completion percentage for 286 and 5 touchdowns. Wow, that wasn't garbage times of games for Indiana. And we've both said this on the show before. If he is even a glimmer of what his brother was, Georgia Tech got a steal at quarterback. So I think I'm the most excited to watch him. I personally think he has the upside to carry this Georgia Tech team to at minimum a bowl game, maybe 7-8 wins potentially. They definitely, I mean, you have a stacked running back group of Justice Haynes and Malachi Hosley to offset you. So, and he's another fantastic athlete, similar to his brother and Bo Pribula, who we just talked about. He's a great athlete, can make a lot of plays with his legs that a lot of quarterbacks normally can't make. So I think he's a ton of upside, but I'm going to put him just outside the top 10 here at number 11, just because we haven't seen enough of Alberto.
Yeah. So I mean, I actually, as you can see, I'm a little bit higher on Alberto than you are. I did have him in my top 10, and it wasn't at 10 either. I actually had him at number 9. Okay. You could make the argument, if you wanted to have him at 10, I could definitely see it. It was between this quarterback and another quarterback that I'm probably going to go ahead and reveal here shortly. I just think the differences between the two is that when Alberto Mendoza did end up playing, he looked better. I feel like he had a better grasp of understanding the college game, and while he's going to be under a new offensive system, leaving Mike Shanahan to head over to like Georgia Tech, I feel a little bit more confident because I've seen him on the field and he seems like he can hold his own, right? Like, especially if Fernando Mendoza did go down, I didn't feel like that there was this, oh my goodness, the ship was going to completely sink and their season is completely over. Like, it's like maybe not the same star power as his older brother. I mean, his older brother won the Heisman. So, I mean, like, that's an incredibly high standard. But, I think he's a solid quarterback. And like you mentioned, if he's 60 to 75% of his older brother, I mean, that's a really good quarterback. That might be a Haynes King, a caliber quarterback. And Haynes King, like, that's one of those classic that dude rock, like, type of guys. So
that's a dog.
That is an absolute dog. So, I mean, it was that was kind of how I looked at it from like looking at those like the next 3 quarterbacks that I had on my list holistically.
Sure.
That was kind of where I laying on with Alberto. Not as experienced as my number 8 quarterback, but is someone that I think when he got in, I think he looked better overall.
I respect it. I definitely, I was going to put him in this 9 to 11 range without a doubt. So I put him at 11 just because we haven't totally seen enough, meaningful game time in my opinion. So.
Yeah, and I honestly feel the same about this next quarterback as well. It's going to be playing for the Clemson Tigers. I am projecting like Christopher Vecina to be that starting quarterback for the Clemson Tigers. I mean, kind of a similar situation to Alberto Mendoza, as well as the quarterback that I'm going to reveal eventually at number 8 as well. Just one of those guys that we haven't really seen play. And when he did play, he was fine. But I mean, I didn't think that he stood out as much as an Alberto Mendoza or even the like the number 8 quarterback that is on this list as well. So I have him at 10, but I do think he has a kind of upside and ceiling that would catapult him into the top 5 right away, given the lineage of quarterbacks that's been at Clemson of recent memory. When you're thinking about, like Trevor Lawrence, or thinking about Cade Klubnik, there's been a really good line of quarterbacks the last 10 to 15 years. Deshaun Watson, as well, like it gets thrown into that list too.
Yeah, without a doubt. And, similar line of thinking, I have Christopher Vecina here at number 9. So not much higher than you on him. I mean, he's been in this Clemson program for, I think this is his 3rd year in the program. But new offensive coordinator Chad Morris coming back to Clemson. So I think that could play to his benefit. He's also throwing to one of the better wide receiver duos in the conference in TJ Moore and Bryant Wesco. So, I mean, plenty of weapons to work with. But I think having continuity just in the system period will play to his benefit. And I think having a new change of scenery with the offensive coordinator Chad Morris coming back to Clemson is going to play to his benefit. So just have to wait and see. But I'm comfortable putting Vecina at number 9 here just because he has continuity within the system. So Vecina at number 9 for me.
Yeah, for sure. So I think he's exciting. But I mean, it's definitely like a year where Clemson has more questions than usual, and you're hoping that when you get to like November or December, that question mark at the quarterback position, it's not a weakness, because it could really determine like the floor and the ceiling of that Clemson football team for sure. But you are higher on Christopher Vecina than I am, so. Looking at things at number 10, I'm curious to see what that number 10 quarterback actually was. If it's not a Christopher Vecina, or it's not Mendoza, or it's not like Bo Pribula, like in my case, who I had outside of top 10 completely.
Yeah. So number 10 for me, I'm going to go with the brand new Virginia Tech quarterback. I'm going to go with Ethan Grunkemeyer here at number 10.
I'm not gonna lie. I was that was not what I thought was gonna come out of your mouth. I'm curious. What you looking at for Grunkemeyer?
So let me preface this. I loved Grunk at Penn State. After everything that happened, Drew Hauer getting hurt, taking over that situation at the time he did, he was very serviceable and looked pretty good at times in that system. Now he's coming into a brand new system with Ty Howell, who's never been an offensive coordinator before. Reuniting with James Franklin at Virginia Tech. I think I'm only putting him at 10 because I'm slightly cautious. And that's because we haven't seen a full season of Grunk. I mean, he took over a dumpster fire, and I also question it because there were times in some of the tougher games that they had in the back end. So like on the road at Iowa, on the road at Ohio State, that he kind of crumbled under some pressure, if you want to call it that. So I'm just curious to see how he plays in some of the bigger games. I'm cautiously optimistic. Definitely can be near the top 6, I'd say, by season's end, without a doubt. But, you know, there's some spots on their schedule. I mean, at Cal, cross-country trip, Cal is going to be a vastly improved team, and we are both pretty high on their quarterback. At Clemson's going to be tough. At SMU is going to be tough. At Miami is going to be tough. So I'm just curious to see how he plays in some of the bigger games within conference play. But again, cautiously optimistic. I think Grunk definitely has the ceiling of being a top 6 quarterback in the ACC. Just got to see more of it for me personally. So I'm going to put Grunk at number 10.
Yeah, and listen, you talked about how like Grunkmeyer has the like ceiling as a top 6 quarterback. I actually think that he's personally there right now. I actually had him as my number 6 quarterback. I thought that how he handled that entire situation with the the starting quarterback Drew Aller, who goes on to the NFL. He ends up going down with a really nasty ankle injury, as well as having your coach fired in the middle of the season as well. You have that interim head coach in place. You're kind of thrown into the fire in what was a lost season. And I thought overall he handled himself pretty well. Now, I wish that he was a little bit more athletic. You know, he had negative rushing yards, which in this era of college football, you know, that's something, so to speak, right? But I thought that he handles himself pretty well, and I really enjoyed seeing some of his growth as he continued to get game reps, like as the starting quarterback for Penn State, and now he gets a second year with another his old head coach followed him like down here to Blacksburg, fresh off of a nice bowl win over Clemson as well in the Pinstripe Bowl. So really, I thought he did a good job making lemons into lemonades. And so hopefully this year, not as much expectations. He has another year under his belt in a college weight room as well. I think he really thrives in Blacksburg. And I think the folks in that Virginia Tech fan base, I think Grunkmeyer, he's going to be deeply beloved by that Virginia Tech football apparatus.
Without a doubt. And I also think this might be a better weapons group around him than what he had when he was playing at Penn State, but that's just my opinion though. So that obviously can elevate his play as well.
Yeah, it's easy to look good when you have receivers that are that know what they're doing, which I know Penn State is definitely tight end. You could definitely make that argument with like Tyler Warren and some other guys, but wide receiver not as much. As we're staying far away from a wide receiver But I don't want
to talk about it anymore. Next team.
Next team. Anyhow, though, like the next team I have is a guy that used to be a part of wide receiver but now comes out into the the ACC. And my number 8 quarterback, I do have Lincoln Kienholz here. We haven't seen him play a ton. And a big part of that is he's just was a victim of an insanely talented depth chart over the years. I mean, look at the kind of quarterbacks that's gone through that program just while he was there. I mean, even Kyle McCord, which may have been like the worst starting quarterback at Ohio State while he was there, like he's gone. He is an NFL quarterback right now with the Philadelphia Eagles. You also have Will Howard, who won a national championship, who transferred in there for a year, and he's on the the Pittsburgh Steelers. And then you also have Julian Sayin right now, who we talked about it on a previous show. Like Julian Sayin's my number 1 quarterback in the Big Ten. I would personally have him as a top 5 quarterback in all of college football. So like Lincoln Kienholz has just been a part of a very talented quarterback room. And even though the last time that we saw him like extensively, I think was that Cotton Bowl game against Missouri. He came in as a true freshman. Well, I think that he's really mature for that experience. He's also, really handled himself with class and maturity. I mean, look at how Ohio State fans talked about him when he transferred to Louisville. Usually, you get some butthurt people, but it's like, man, like he handled himself the right way. Like Louisville got themselves a really good guy, and I think he's going to succeed. Jeff Brom, definitely a quarterback whisperer. So I think we get to see a new and improved Lincoln Kienholz from that 2023 experience, and I think he's going to have a good year.
I literally have nothing to add. That was spot on. Everything I had about Lincoln Kienholz. His ceiling is undeniable. I mean, you got to be a quarterback at Ohio State, so obviously you got some talent. Yeah, Jeff Brom, quarterback whisperer. I really think Lincoln Kienholz elevates this Louisville team to an ACC contender for sure. So Lincoln Kienholz, I'm going to put him at number 7. So just a spot higher than you, but all the similar line of thinking to you for sure.
Gotta get nice and lined up. We
Nice,
like to make it like real.
That's good execution. That's good execution.
That's that hard work and determination.
That's the reps. That's the rep shown right there.
Yeah, that's the reps at 6 a.m. and like 10 p.m. Like really coming into play. You know, like these people. Oh, you owe these people something, man. But
that's the staying 2 hours after practice. You know,
yeah,
that's.
Yeah, that's me turning out like sleep and like spending time with my family because you know that's not important. But what is important though is my number 7 quarterback, and I'm curious how you feel about this quarterback at number 7. I do have Steve Ungeli.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that he was on a generational tear like in the month of September, and you know he really opened up a lot of eyes when he was taking Clemson behind the woodshed. Like we were looking at him, it was like, oh my goodness, like who is this guy? Like he looked like a Heisman contender.
Yep.
But that was only 1 month of football that he started. And that was the only month of football that he started. And then he got hurt. So is that like that was really good play from Steve Ongeli. But is that as good as it is going to get, or can you sustain that for a full season? That's really what it comes down to. If he does, like I kid you not, like he's a top 3 quarterback in the ACC. It's just I just have to see him do it for more than a month at a time and a few games at a time, and specifically against better competition. I mean, that entire time he only played against 2 power conference teams. So
yeah.
like other than that, like UConn, which I mean UConn's solid, but even then, like Syracuse struggled in that UConn game. Like they should have lost that game too. So like I guess it's me like being a little bit cautious like in that regard. I think he could be really special, but again, like prove you could do it for a full year.
Yeah, for sure. And again, similar line of thinking. Totally agree with every single point you just made about Steve Ungeli. I'm going to put him at number 6. And just another point about Syracuse's quarterback room in general. I mean, they bring in Amari Odom. So if Ungeli were to get hurt again, they have a very capable backup quarterback. Whereas last year, they didn't really have that, all things considered. So I definitely think Steve Ungeli raises the ceiling of Syracuse, that I think they could be a sneaky competitive team if he's able to replicate that. I mean, everyone seems to forget that he led the country in passing the first month of the season. Like this dude was like a Heisman candidate, all things considered, the first month of the season in his own right. So just again, similar to your line of thinking, got to see it for more than a month, and you know, fingers crossed stays fully healthy. But everything I've read out of Syracuse spring ball, you know, said he was looking pretty good. So Steve Ungeli for me, number 6.
Yeah, and you know what? You talked about that Syracuse like room as well. Not only did they bring in CUSA champion like Amari Odom from Kennesaw State, but they also brought in UTEP / Boise State / USC legend Malachi Nelson into that quarterback room as well, ready to tear things up as the most fascinating QB free in all of college football.
You're right. He's going to tear things up. He's going to tear up my eyelids from staying open when he takes the field.
Yeah, but I'm looking at this board. It looks like we are going to have ourselves a consensus top 5 here. So I'm you know, it sounds like great minds that like think alike here, but I'm going to be interested to see if we end up having the like the same order, or if we have things mixed up. I have a feeling we're going to have the same QB1. I've been surprised before, but you know, I'm gonna let you like have the floor here for number 5. So who was that number 5 quarterback in the ACC for you?
I need to tell my family to pause the show for about 10 minutes. about 5 or 10 minutes here. So going with Mason Heinschel of Pitt, number 5. I mean, do I have to talk about him? Do I have to say why I put him at 5, or can I just can we move on? Like,
Listen, like I know it's not the like the personal like tier maker anymore. Like this is a
Yeah.
safe space.
Okay.
This is a
Okay.
neutral space.
Yeah. All right. Just quick cliff notes. Mason Heinschel lit the world on fire. Came in as a true freshman. They benched Mason Heinschel like week 5, I think it was. Either way, lit the world on fire. 2,400 yards, 16 touchdowns, 8 picks. I mean, if he's able to replicate that for a full season, for Pat Narduzzi, dude has a top 2 ceiling quarterbacks wise in this conference. I really think that. I mean, to be able to do that as a true freshman when basically no one. I mean, I remember watching I think he did a sit down with McAfee, and he said he basically got recruited by no one. I think it was like Pitt and then like Miami of Ohio. Like he basically got recruited by no one, and then he went to Pitt, and I mean, yeah, lit the world on fire last year. So if he's able to replicate that for a full season, definitely worthy of a top 5 ranking going into the preseason. So yeah, Mason Heinschel of Pitt, number 5.
Yeah, and you talk about like doing it over the course of a full season. I mean, he ended up playing 10 games and he threw over 300 passes. So I mean, like you might as well had like a full season. Like just like imagine like he got hurt for like a few games or something. That's really how I treated it. And I have him as number 5 as well. But it's not a knock on Mason Heinschel by any means. Like I really like watching this kid play, and like that kid is fun to watch. And this offense was a lot more electric to watch after he ended up taking over. I believe it was after the Backyard Brawl, if not mistaken. Might have took over after that West Virginia.
Or was it after Ohio?
No, West Virginia played Ohio.
That's right. It might have
been then like after West Virginia lost to Ohio, they did the Backyard Brawl. And then West Virginia beat Penn.
That's right.
Like, and they Eli Holstein gotta go.
Didn't they lose in like terrible fashion?
They did. I remember watching that game on the on a live stream, looking at everything. But no, this is more about the like the quarterbacks that are ahead of him that I think are borderline superstars. They're excellent. They are awesome. I think this guy is awesome too. Like in his own right, it's been awesome for slightly not as long. So that's really what it comes down to. I mean, like if you want to have him higher than 5, I mean, like have at it,
Yeah, for sure. But I definitely think worthy of a top 5 ranking, just solely based on what we saw last year, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Like worthy of a top 5 ranking. And speaking of quarterbacks that are worthy of a top 5 ranking as well, I feel the same thing about the Cal quarterback, JKS. Now, am I going to try to say his full name? Absolutely not, because I'm going to butcher the fuck out of it. But what I am going to say is that I think JKS, he's a special dude. Like I watch him play. Like it was worth like being sleep deprived and hating yourself on Sunday morning to watch this dude play. He was electric to watch. The one knock that I have on him, and it's really getting nitpicky because we are getting close to the top here, is that he is a pure pocket passer.
Yeah.
He is not going to beat you with his legs. I wish that he does that, but I believe he had negative 100 rushing yards last season. Like that's horrific, but man, like he might have one of the best arms, arguably the best arm, like in the ACC. But that lack of mobility, I think, holds him back a little bit. I hope he adds that element to his game, but I do think that he is going to have a better infrastructure than what he did last year. So he could climb even higher than 4 here. But that's something that I am curious about, if he at least makes himself at least enough a running threat to where teams have to be a little bit more honest when defending him.
Wait, Ohio State transfer Devin Brown's not the Cal quarterback? Oh, I thought you would have put Devin Brown up here.
You're talking about the new Weber State legend? That's crazy.
Jake, I feel like JKS just speaks for himself. I mean, I personally, and I have him at number 2, Jake. He's the second best quarterback in my opinion in the ACC. To your point, if he gets more mobile, I think definitely elevates Cal's ceiling. Just adds a whole different element to their offense. But you throw for nearly 3,500 yards with 18 touchdowns and a 64% completion percentage on 7 yards per pass attempt, and he arguably upgraded at receiver too. Dude, Cal is going to be fun to watch. They're going to be fun to watch.
I don't know how many stops they get. Like, it's probably going to be 40 to 35 on a consistent basis. But listen, I'm here for it though. I know Colton is too. Colton's really high on this team in particular.
Yeah. I definitely think Cal is. I don't have my model up in front of me. I think I have them at 8 wins, 7 or 8 wins. I think their ceiling I think I have it as 9. So I know Colton is way higher on them than the both of us. But anyway, JKS, he's amazing. He's a top 10 quarterback potentially in the country. So yeah, he's the second best quarterback to me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame you. Like I said, I feel like 2 through 5 feels pretty interchangeable. I think that definitely shows here. Just kind of depends on what you you prefer more than anything else. But hey, speaking of those preferences, though, there is a quarterback in this top 5 that you're not as high on as I am, though. So holistically looking at the rest of the ACC, who ended up being that guy at number 4 that you weren't necessarily as high on as I was?
Yeah, I'm going to go with a quarterback that one of our fellow co-hosts believe is a top 10 quarterback in the country, let alone top 5 in the ACC. I'm going to go CJ Bailey here of NC State at number 4. And I really don't have a lot of knocks. I just am higher on the quarterbacks above him. I mean, I really have no problem with CJ Bailey. He's a true dual threat quarterback. I mean, the dude is massive. I think he's 6'6". The dude is massive. Yeah, 6'6", 210, threw for over 3,100 yards last year, 25 touchdowns to 9 interceptions, nearly 70% completion percentage at NC State. He has a ton of transfer wide receivers, so I mean the weapons around him are going to be a question mark. But I mean, the dude can ball. CJ Bailey can flat out play. So I really have no knock on him. It's just the quarterbacks above him I'm personally higher on, and have accomplished more in their time playing college football so far. So yeah, CJ Bailey, I think comfortably at 4 for me. And shout out Dave Doran. I don't think Dave Doran gets enough respect for the job he's done at NC State as well. So CJ Bailey, absolutely. CJ Bailey 4.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Dave Doran is kind of one of those quiet unsung heroes that yes, he doesn't have a ton of accolades outside of his time in the MAC, where unironically he did take NIU to a New Year's Six bowl. That was a thing. But yeah, I mean he's been solid. And he's turned NC State into a solid team where maybe they're not a team that's expected to play for the ACC title, but on any given day, they are always a team that could beat the best teams in the ACC any given Saturday. And we've seen that before a handful of times. I mean, there's not really much more to add here. I had CJ Bailey at number 2. He's a special player, man. He over 30 touchdowns last year between on the ground and through the air. He has a lot of what I'm looking for in a quarterback that I want to lead my program. Why I had him at 2 is I think that he's a little bit more consistent as well than my number 3 quarterback. I feel like I know what I'm going to get, whereas my number 1 quarterback, not only does he have that consistency, but he's got the accolades too that really set it apart. But man, CJ Bailey.
Sure.
I wish that they didn't have an exodus in the transfer portal, because NC State would be talked so much more about. But just because CJ Bailey is here, they're going to still be appointment television, even though they may end up 7-5 or something as the aggregate.
Without doubt. I think CJ Bailey elevates this NC State team to be a real competitor in the ACC. I'm not saying they're going to play for the conference championship right now. I don't think that, but I definitely think if he replicates what he did last year, they could be in that conversation for sure. But I think we have a consensus here at 3, if I'm thinking correctly.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have that consensus as well, because you probably had like Kevin Jennings as the like the number 3 quarterback, because that's what I had as well. I did have Kevin Jennings at number 3. Again, like I really like him as a quarterback. He's a multi-year starter. Led SMU to an ACC championship game appearance, as well as leading them to the college football playoff. I just don't think that he's as consistent as CJ Bailey. You know, he has his moments where he looks really brilliant and he's unstoppable. But then there's also a couple other times, like the Cal game last year, for example, where he's not as sharp, and you kind of feel the same way about when they went to go play. I believe it was Louisville, if I'm not mistaken. But like it's just like those kinds of moments, especially early on in the year too. Where SMU got to a slower start. So Wake Forest is another one that was like, dude, what are we doing here? So like it really comes down to that. But I mean, multi-year starter, there's a lot to like about him. I mean, I just there's not a ton to say here. Like he's an awesome quarterback though.
Yeah, without a doubt. And again, the reason I had him a little higher than CJ Bailey, I mean, multi-year starter CJ Bailey. I think this is going into his 2nd year as a starter. Don't quote me, but I think there's times that Kevin Jennings, specifically when he's not playing ACC competition, is very hit or miss. I mean, you look at his non-conference last year. They played Baylor. They lost by 3. They played at TCU, lost by 11. Arizona in the bowl game, they won by 5. So it's really I feel like he's very hit or miss, but it's a lot more hit than miss, if that makes sense. Like he's a lot more, good than bad, but still a good enough amount of bad to hold him back from being like a top 2 quarterback. I know that's really a poor explanation, and I apologize for that, but Kevin Jennings, again, also to your point, he brought SMU to a playoff appearance 2 years ago. Like I can't take that out of my thought process. Brought him to an ACC championship game in their first year in the conference. So when he also wasn't the starting quarterback to start that season, he got put in the middle of the season. So Kevin Jennings, I think definitely SMU is going to be a dangerous team next year, just only because there is that continuity at quarterback with him. So number 3 for Mr. Jennings.
Yeah, and I definitely understand where you're like coming from as well. Like I follow what you were saying. Like there's a lot of like, man, he has really brilliant moments. You could tell that he has all the physical tools to be an elite quarterback at the college football level. But there's a slightly more. You see him like have like these plays where it's like, dude, what the fuck are we doing? That's really what it's like. Like I apologize for the for the language, but I mean there's no better way to explain it than like it's just, and it doesn't happen very often, but when it does, it's just
it's just like it's just what are we doing?
Yeah, what are we doing?
Yeah. What are we doing? But there's a lot more of like jaw dropping plays, or like literally no other, like a very few amount of quarterbacks can make plays that Kevin Jennings makes. So there's a lot more of that outweighs the WTF plays for sure.
Yeah, and that is why that he's not the my number 1 quarterback though. But what I will say about my number 1 quarterback, Darian Mensah, like dude is like he has it all, man. Like he is like, if I want to talk about like on the national stage, like the one knock I would have on him is that he is a little bit of a mercenary. This is his 3rd school, like in the last 3 years. So, I question the like the loyalty of like a little bit from that perspective. But I mean, like, dude, like it doesn't matter where he's at. Like Darian Mensah can ball. I mean, he threw for over 2,700 yards at Tulane a couple of years ago, and then he follows that up by throwing for basically 4,000 yards. 34 touchdowns. He's got an ACC championship like under his belt as well. And I think he's sneaky athletic as well. Like he had negative rushing yards last year, but he was a better runner like a couple of years ago too. So Darian Mensah, like he's a superstar, man. And I like I am really looking forward to now seeing him play at Miami. Like he had decent infrastructure at Duke, and Manny Diaz is a good coach. But man, Mario Cristobal, he is a great offensive line coach. He's going to be paired up with Mark Fletcher in the backfield. He's going to have Malachi Tony alongside multiple transfer wide receivers. He's going to, if he surpasses 4,500 yards, if he's like on the precipice of 5,000 yards, I wouldn't be fully surprised. Like you can't really say that about any like very many quarterbacks in the country, period. But like he's capable of doing that with what he's done over the past couple of years, as well as with the weapons that he has. Really, what the only thing that I think will stop him, aside from injuries, is Miami going to blow out too many teams that he doesn't play the full game?
That's a possibility.
Like,
I didn't really think about that.
Like,
are they gonna be up 35 at halftime that he gets benched?
Yeah, if he only plays like a half or like 3/4 of a game, I mean, like it's like that might be like the one thing that's has a regression like from a statistical standpoint, but like
Yeah,
he's not gonna have to be Superman, but he's absolutely capable of being Superman.
I love Darian Mensah. I know AT specifically doesn't really like him just solely because he has transferred a lot and he has abandoned multiple teams, maybe to get a bag, but we're not talking about that. Yeah, Darian Mensah, dude. I mean, at Duke to throw nearly 4,000 yards, which in college nowadays with how good defenses have gotten holistically, to throw for nearly 4,000 yards is pretty damn impressive.
Yeah,
it's pretty damn impressive. And again, at Duke, where one receiver who is following him to Miami accounted for 1,100 of those yards. And you put that alongside a top 2 receiver in the entire sport in front of the best offensive line that he's had so far in college. So, yeah, Miami should be the clear favorite in the SEC or in the ACC. Wow, not the SEC. They should maybe they could be in the SEC, in the ACC, because they have the best roster on paper. They have the best coach in the conference, and they're coming off a national championship appearance, and they arguably got better, which could be argued. They arguably got better. So yeah, also this is the best quarterback by far Mario Cristobal has had in his tenure so far at Miami. So good for Mario. I have no problem with the Canes. I have no problem with Miami. I like Miami. So yeah, Darian Mensah, dude,
and that's part of the reason why there's so sky high expectations, because we just saw them play in the national championship, and they were very close to winning that national championship and winning it all as well.
Yeah.
Plus, like there's a true argument. I personally think they did get better, like holistically, just looking at the roster.
Yeah.
Like there is a handful of teams there, and I talked about this on the Miami First Look. That's gonna come out, I want to say tomorrow at noon. I'll have to double check what the old YouTube says, because I don't remember.
Set the reminders.
But what I will say, what I do remember saying is that like there is this like cluster of teams, like about like half dozen teams that you look at holistically and say, hey, if things break for them, like they could play in the ACC title game, where there's only one team in the ACC where you're looking at them as like, they should play in the ACC title. And if they don't, it's a disappointing season, and they were very fortunate to make it as an at-large, like they made it at the 11th hour. Like it was the right decision because of who head to head, but how the committee got there, we didn't like how the sausage was made. So like they do have a weaker schedule. I do want to preface that. So not a lot of room for error here in terms of making it as an at-large. But I do think they have at least the best quarterback in the ACC to help unironically win their first ACC title since joining the league, which is crazy to think about.
They haven't even played in the game, Jake. They haven't even played in the ACC title game since they joined the conference, let alone win it.
Yeah, that's crazy to me. Like Louisville, who hasn't been in the league as long, they've played in the title game a few years ago. Like it played against Florida State.
SMU first season made it, Wake Forest has played in the conference championship before them. Pitt has played in the conference championship game before them. Like, dude, like, what are we?
Pitt won. I remember that 2021 fake slide. I know you were pissed about it.
Asterisk. It's fake conference title.
Hey, but man, like this is this has been really fun. Like talking to some like ACC quarterbacks here tonight. I think we're gonna have a spicy one on Thursday though, because I've talked about on Twitter about how I've been diving into coaching rankings. I think I kind of want to give a little bit of a sliver of a preview of what I'm thinking is the best coaches in college football. So I think we're gonna save that for Thursday night. But in the meantime, dude, it is so good to see you again. The hat looks fantastic from No Rivals. Anything that you want to say to the people before we sign off here tonight, man?
No, appreciate everyone watching. And again, if you have not checked out the Buzzer platform, again, no AI swap. You get all verified creators over there making fantastic content. Specifically, the college football content over there is some of the best out there. I mean, even better than like on Twitter and YouTube. So if you've not signed up for Buzzer, make sure you go follow Jake and I. Of course, all of the Red Zone crew is over there. So available on the App Store. And I think it's Buzzer. Hold on, I have the website. Just buzzer.com, bzzr.com. So make sure to go check them out as well. But thanks, Jake. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, for sure. So and again, like shout out to Buzzer as well. Like we're given a really nice opportunity to be able to stream on their platform, and like we were one of the first people to stream on Buzzer from a college football perspective. So
This is true.
it's always nice to to have that title like put on our head. You know, we wear that proudly with our like tomfoolery and everything. But hey, we're gonna sign off here tonight. Thank you guys so much for watching. But before you do so, make sure you go ahead, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well, because it does help get this video, our live stream out to more people like you guys that are, starving for any kind of football content like this time of year. We're closing in on 400 subscribers, which is kind of cool. And I definitely appreciate y'all being like A1 since day ones for sure. Plus on Twitter, we're closing in on 2,000 followers too. Would love to get there before the end of the month. So if you're watching this on Twitter, make sure you give us a follow on Twitter as well. So hey, with that, this is Jake from College Football Red Zone signing off. Hope you guys are all out there having a good one. Take care.